Could you then give us the current situation about the 1.04 trillion naira fine?
Well, the fine was, if you will recall, Chamberlain was served on MTN because of MTN's inability to deactivate 5,200,000 SIM cards. Okay, and this is consistent. The directive was given consistent with the subscriber registration regulation, section 20 of the document. Okay, and when we said all illegally and invalidly registered SIM cards should be deactivated, virtually all the operators complied. Some, in fact, deactivated more than the number we have asked them. Of course, because it is virtually impossible to deactivate the exact number. So we were very happy when others deactivated more than what we wanted. When we do our reconciliation, we discovered they have complied. In this particular case, in the case of one, operator, we discovered after a compliance check that 5,200,000 subscribers were still active, on the network of that particular, operator. And, the rest is history. But the fine, as you are aware, was subjected to a remission. And the federal government decided to give 25% remission. And I think the time given to pay was a little bit too short for the operator, to be able, to comply. And therefore, they resort to court action in order to buy, I don't know whether to buy time or in order to...
Did you all agree that the time was too short?
Well, I think in the opinion of the operator, the time was a little bit short for them. Okay, and I think what is now going on now, as I'm talking to you, is to find a way that, they can be able to pay addressing the time. So it's like the payment is likely going to be staggered over time, so that they pay over a certain period of time, not pay the whole lot, say in a month, which will virtually be a tall order.
Okay, because at that time, there were reports, you could correct us if you're wrong, that you were not privy to some of those negotiations for reducing the fine, to the extent that the House of Reps also waded in. What happened at the time?
We have rendered explanations that from the beginning of the issuance of the sanction, to MTN were involved. It was a routine thing, that the commission did, and we were involved at every stage of the implementation of the action. So it's the House of Representatives, Committee on Communications, wanted to find out what is happening now. As the MTN decided to suspend court action and subsequently withdrew the case from court, as well as the payment of the 50 billion naira into a dedicated federation account in order to facilitate amicable resolution of the matter. We are conversant, we are aware, we have been invited to provide inputs that will pave way into resolution of the matter. And this will have informed the House Committee on Communications. What Nigerians should appreciate is the fine was served on MTN in order to ensure regulatory adherence. Okay, the intention is not to, as they say, kill the operator. The intention is to ensure compliance to regulatory directives as these, sort of border on the security of the nation. Okay, and no country will stand by and watch rules of engagement, being broken.
But some people raise questions. Lots of questions have been raised on this SIM registration process. It would seem that in almost every area where you go to buy SIM cards, a lot of people saw where registration was done, and they had to go back again and re-register.
Yeah.
We have raised questions in the past as to how, why it is that, we can't sync, for instance, all the lines? Why is it that if I have 3 lines, I have to register all over again? And even if I buy another line from the same company, I still have to register that same, and they cannot even call up my data. It raises big questions as to the validity or the sincerity of what it is that they're doing there.
Well, the operators,
Yes.
the operators owe a duty to provide adequate registration points. We insist that each SIM card, must be registered. If you have 10 SIM cards, all of those must be registered, and those must also be traced to the holder.
I'll give you an instance. For instance,
Yeah.
this BVN that was done by,
Banks.
ordered by the central bank.
Yeah.
All you had to do was register in one bank, and then notify the other banks that you've done your BVN registration, and here's your number.
Yeah.
They could eventually sync all of this and
Yeah.
know that all of these accounts, many
Yeah.
as they might be, belong to just one individual.
Yeah.
That cannot happen with SIM card registration.
Well, there's need for the operators to be able to, work together to ensure that registration at one point provided by an operator will be adequate, for a similar, if you like, registration with another operator. This very close working relationship is encouraged, by the Commission. And the Commission is disposed, to this proposal if the operators can come together to agree on a platform that will facilitate, registration at one point provided by a particular operator, and this will also suffice for other operators.
Which
We're disposed to this.
which might be a long-term project.
Yeah.
But then there is also the question mark as to why I will have 3 SIM cards from the same company. For instance, maybe you have one for your modem, you have another one for your phone line, and the same operator cannot call up your data. That raises very big questions.
No, I agree with you. Like I said, we're looking at the entire process of registering, SIM cards and other, if you like, facilities that consumers, enjoy. And we have not concluded fully on how this, should be done. But the point we're making at the moment is to insist that all subscribers, subscribers to telecommunication services must be registered. Okay, we have some peculiarities that are different from what the banking sector.
I think what Mark is saying here is bringing before the Commission something very important, and it is the inability of the same subscriber. Telco, to pull out the data of a particular subscriber who has more than one SIM with them. So if I come before Telco A, and I say I'm getting another SIM card, and the same me who's always been a subscriber with them, and you can't pull up my information, doesn't that tell you that there's something wrong with their data? Perhaps that is why they still haven't been able to help sometimes
the subscriber
in security situations.
The subscriber identification number is different for each SIM card. Okay, each SIM card you register has a different identification number. So it's like if I have 10 SIM cards, all of them will have different numbers, but these
So they can't all
10
be on
should be traced.
my profile, say
No,
Sulaiman
it can
Ali
be
Ali.
done.
They haven't been doing it.
It will. I don't know about that. I will do my check-in.
Yes,
like
they
I
haven't
said,
been doing that.
Like I said, this is an ongoing exercise. As I'm talking to you now, the SIM card registration exercise is going on. We keep updating our data. We keep comparing what we have. With what the operators. Let me finish, please. With what the operators have. And this is to ensure credibility of the data. It is not how many SIM cards we register. The most important is to be able to trace the SIM cards to the owners of the SIM cards.
The reason why we raise this question is because we'd raised this in the past in relation to the safety and security of customers' data. We had raised questions as to how, a lot of agencies were collecting data, a lot of them asking for fingerprints, a lot of them asking for pictures and what have you, and even some information which you consider personal. For instance, your mother's maiden name. Which is not information you give out every day. We had asked about the safety and security of, customers' data from the NCC, if there was any backup. Are they also aware of some of the conditions which the telecom operators have set up that customers were made to sign. That they were not going to be responsible if your data was missing, for instance, or stolen.
Okay, I will address this from two perspectives. One, if operators are demanding for information which consumers feel they are not comfortable to provide, they can always register, complaints, with the commission, and will guide them on what aspects, of data that you should provide for the registration for this. There are sensitive data that consumers should not be asked to provide, and therefore we always sensitize consumers on what data they should provide at registration point. Okay. The second point is that there is an attempt now by government through the NCC, that is the National Identity Management Commission, to harmonize data. Nigerians must appreciate that we don't have a harmonized database all along. It is the initiative of government that this should be done now through the National Identity Management Commission. So we have since been directed to provide the database of subscribers in the country to this commission, and we're working very closely with the commission, NCC, that is, other agencies of government with similar data. The banking sector, okay, and other sectors of the economy are also complying and providing data with a view to address the observations that you rightly raised, that we do not have centralized data somewhere, domiciled somewhere where we do not need to be doing this in a decentralized way. Okay, so that is being addressed.